Imagine waking up in the morning with only a couple dollars in your bank account and going to sleep as one of the richest people in the country. Hi everyone, Ken here. This is the story of Edward Doheny and his Los Angeles mansion. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Born in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin in 1852, Doheny grew up in a family of modest means. His father, an Irish immigrant, worked as a laborer and gardener, instilling in young Edward a strong work ethic. Despite the family's struggles, Doheny excelled academically, graduating as the valedictorian of his high school class at just 15 years old. However, his father's untimely death soon after thrust him into the harsh realities of adulthood. Doheny's early adult life was filled with struggle, barely making enough money to get by. He joined the U.S. Geological Survey, which took him to the wild frontiers of Kansas, South Dakota, and eventually the rugged landscapes of Arizona and New Mexico. It was here, in the rough and tumble mining towns of the Southwest, that Doheny honed his skills as a prospector and miner. Despite years of hard work, success eluded him, and by the early 1890s, he found himself in Los Angeles living paycheck to paycheck to support his family. However, his fortunes would soon take a dramatic turn. Inspired by reports of natural asphalt deposits in the area, he and his soon-to-be business partner, Charles A. Canfield, decided to try their luck in the nascent oil industry. With little more than sheer determination and second-hand tools, Doheny began digging a well near downtown Los Angeles. The work was grueling and the odds were against them, but in 1892, after months of labor, the duo struck oil. This discovery marked the beginning of Southern California's petroleum boom, and Doheny quickly became a wealthy man. His success in Los Angeles was just the beginning. In 1901, he ventured south to Mexico where he drilled the country's first oil well near Tampico, which turned the page to an even greater chapter in his career, as his operations in Mexico's Golden Belt would soon make him one of the world's leading oil producers. Doheny's company, Pan American Petroleum and Transport, expanded rapidly with holdings that stretched from the Gulf Coast of the United States to the vast oil fields of Venezuela. With this newfound wealth, Doheny set out to find his dream home in that same year. In 1901, Doheny made a significant move that symbolized his ascent to the upper echelons of Los Angeles' society by purchasing an opulent residence at No. 8 Chester Place for $120,000 in cash. Chester Place at the time was rapidly becoming one of the most desirable and exclusive neighborhoods in the city, filled with the homes of Los Angeles' most influential and affluent citizens. The Doheny home was no exception, and it quickly became a focal point of the area. The mansion, originally built with 22 rooms in 1899, was already grand, but Edward and his wife Estelle had even grander visions. They immediately began extensive renovations, transforming the house into a 24,000 square foot masterpiece that would become one of the most extravagant mansions in Los Angeles. Photos of the home were published in a popular magazine, which brought sightseers by the home at all hours. To gain a bit more privacy and put more space between tourists and his home, Doheny purchased the 13 remaining lots in the private neighborhood. Entering the mansion will place us in the Great Hall, however, this is not where we'll start our tour. Arriving as guests, the doorman would usher us beyond velvet curtains into the reception room. Here we get a small taste of the family's wealth, though the rooms we are about to see will put this one to shame. Of these grand spaces, the Pompeian room will be our first stop, clad in marble with a domed skylight soaring 2 stories overhead. Grand banquets would be held in this room, with fresh flowers overflowing the table setting. Looking more closely at the details, we find intricate stonework, brocade finishing the walls, and sculptures set in the corners. Hearing the gentle strums of a harp, we will venture further into the mansion to find the music room. This incredible space not only holds a grand piano, but the walls and ceilings blend together with continuous ornate plasterwork. At the end of the music room, we'll peel back the curtains to reveal the library. But there is more than meets the eye in this unassumingly cozy room. There is another pair of curtains set in the corner. Let's head beyond them. Here we uncover the rare books room, with first edition volumes, some centuries old, neatly organized on each bookshelf. In fact, one could argue that there are several libraries in this house, from Mrs. Doheny's study to the Indian room, aptly named for the murals spanning the frieze, but we won't get caught up in the many reading nooks of the house. Let's continue to the chapel, with enough space for a private church service exclusively for the family. Not too far from here is the second music room, with yet another grand piano. But perhaps we are getting a bit ahead in our tour. Let's return to the public room, starting with the dining room. As you can imagine, a family of such wealth wouldn't prepare their own meals. The full-time staff would cook in a state-of-the-art kitchen, which was updated frequently with the latest and greatest products and appliances. And if the banquet room and formal dining room weren't on the list for the day, the breakfast room would serve as a cozier retreat for the family to enjoy their meals. Each of the bedrooms are just as grand as you might expect, with ornate plasterwork, wood paneling, and even several luxurious ensuites providing the family and guests with the type of comforts only money could buy. However, Doheny's rise to power was not without its discomfort. In the 1920s, he became embroiled in the infamous Teapot Dome scandal, a political bribery case that rocked the nation. He was accused of offering a $100,000 bribe to U.S. Secretary of the Interior Albert Fall in exchange for favorable oil leases. Though Doheny was twice acquitted of bribery charges, the scandal tarnished his reputation and led to a rather turbulent period in his life. And yet, he was able to turn things around again. His philanthropy, particularly in Los Angeles, where he and his wife Estelle donated generously to Catholic schools, churches, and charities, earned him a legacy as a benefactor. And just as the scandal was being forgotten about, 2 bodies were found in his son's Beverly Hills mansion, Greystone, but that's a story for another time. Edward Doheny passed away in 1935, leaving behind a complex legacy as both a pioneering oilman and a central figure in one of the most notorious scandals in American history. What did you think about his mansion? Did you have a favorite room? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.